the Statue of Liberty, without hesitation, if you ask anybody that I have been around where the Statue of Liberty is, it's on Ellis Island. Now it's never been on Ellis Island. It's on Liberty Island, which is a separate island altogether that wasn't even there. Okay? And let me ask you something. If it's always been on Liberty Island, is that too hard of a name to remember for the Statue of Liberty and associate it with and remember that it's on Liberty Island? Would we really mistake it and call it Ellis Island if the Statue of Liberty was on fucking Liberty Island? Okay, first off, do you think we are stupid? Okay? Because we aren't stupid. Chances are, if you're watching this video right now, you are in some sort of research community, or you are probably somebody that might even know me. So off the top of your head, I mean, right away, you probably don't think I'm stupid if you're watching the videos. Do you think we're stupid enough to tell you that reality is changing if somebody just changed their logo? Do you think we can't look this up? You can look up anything. Look at all the shit you guys are looking up and researching on your computer. You think you can't look up a logo change? There's sites like Logopedia. You can look up things in the trademark office. We are doing all these types of research. Okay, these changes that we're talking about, like for instance, the Ford logo. If you look at the Ford logo, it's changed now, and the Volkswagen logo as well, which we'll discuss both of them real quick. The Ford logo now, and I'm not going to do screen shares and everything. I'm just going to talk to you. You guys can look this up as I'm talking if you want. Open a Google window and look at what the Ford logo looks like. Okay, and now it has like this curly thing on it that was never there. So what you'll naturally say is you're going to say, oh, well, you know, companies can change their logos. Companies can change their emblems. But I'm telling you, you can go back as far as you want, and you can look at the history of company changes, brand changes, emblem changes. There is no change for that Ford logo. The one we remember without the curly line on the F never existed. Same thing with the Volkswagen logo. If you look at a Volkswagen logo now, the V and the W are split. They're separated, okay? I remember when they weren't. But if you go back, there's never been a change. And this is where people will back themselves into a corner and contradict themselves because they will recognize what I'm saying. So, for instance, I could tell somebody, and you might even be thinking this right now. Like, I could tell you, hey, this, you know, I show you the curly thing in the Ford logo, and you're like, oh, that's not right. I remember it straight. They must have changed the logo. But then I can prove to you that, no, it's never been the straight. And then they'll just go into defense mode, and it's crazy the things that they'll do. Like, for instance, residue, what we call residue. Let me define residue. Residue is leftover evidence from a change that has happened, okay? So, for instance, if something changes, say a TV show, for instance, I'll use I Love Lucy since that's a hot topic lately on my page. Somebody's pretty offended by Ricky Ricardo, so that's pretty funny. So I'll use I Love Lucy, for instance. The most famous part of I Love Lucy, for me, where I come from, and I imagine you, and this is why I know you're all affected. The most famous line from I Love Lucy, what is it, people? Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Or, Lucy, I'm home, which preceded it. He seemed to always say those two things every time he came home, at least where I come from. What is my point? My point is, now he has never said that. And when I say he has never said that, I'm not saying that somebody re-released the DVDs. I'm not even saying if you downloaded it, because you're going to say, well, maybe somebody's messing with us, right? Because I'm telling you, you can go back in every episode of I Love Lucy, and he never says, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. He used to say it all the time. Now, I'm not saying go on Netflix. You can, okay? You're going to find the same thing. Netflix, Comcast, your local, wherever you buy movies, if they still have movies, so I don't know how they do it. If there's still even places you buy DVDs, I don't know. I don't buy movies. You can, but the thing is, it's not just that. You can go in your own collection. If you have I Love Lucy tapes or DVDs sitting around and you put them in, all your I Love Lucys are changed, and that quote's never been said. So the idea that this is a psyop and you're just going to debunk it, no. The idea that things are re-released, and that's why we're having these issues of what you want to call false memories or whatever, no, absolutely not. For instance, The Wizard of Oz is a movie everybody has seen, okay? And I'm going to get into other examples later, too, besides movies and music. I'm going to use a few real quick because I know you guys know this, okay? The Wizard of Oz, everybody knows the Scarecrow and the Lion and the Tin Man, okay? Now the Scarecrow has a pistol, okay? And this is where it gets even crazier. So you guys all know the Scarecrow didn't have a pistol, right? Well, go and look on your own movie. I explained the Mandela Effect to my friend. I was at his house, and he said, so you're telling me we put it in right now? If I have it, he's going to have a gun? I said, yeah. When was the last time you watched it? And he told me it was like several months before or whatever. I said, did he have a gun? No, of course he didn't have a gun, right? I said, he's going to have a gun now. He said, in my own copy. I said, yes. You can call me bullshit right now, but you can't debunk me. That's the problem. That's why you get so mad. That's why you get so mad, because if you go and put your movie in right now, there's no way he's not going to have it. It's changed, and it's been in your possession. You cannot say that this is a psyop. You can't say it's Google. You can't say it's the CIA. You can't say it's anybody manipulating anything, because it's in your house. Is the Mandela burglar sneaking in the middle of the night, switching all your DVDs, switching all your music, updating logos on your clothing, updating the fucking emblem on your Volkswagen out in the driveway while you're sleeping? No, that's not what's happening. And you know that's not happening. That's crazy, right? That's not what's happening. Now, what I'm telling you doesn't apply to the rules of reality that you were brought up in. It can't be possible, right? Well, come to the roads we've all come through, okay? And I'm not going to go through all the topics I go through because some are just trigger words for people. It's not even worth it at this point. I want this to be addressed to everybody. But coming the roads we come through, you start to learn that you're lied to about everything, and it's time to trust your senses. I mean, come on, people. Really, really. You know, so people want to say, oh, well, you're just having a bad memory. Let me tell you about bad memory, right? When these things happen, there's not just, okay, let's just say, you know, and there's tens of thousands of us, if not hundreds of thousands of us that highly experience this. Everybody has experienced it on a level. For instance, every one of you I'm talking to right now, you all know that C-3PO was all gold. I mean, it's not even a question. What color is C-3PO? He's all gold. And I'm talking about in the original 3 movies, okay? Not the prequels with the red arm, not the 3 newer movies. I don't know what's going on with those. The big 3, okay? Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. C-3PO has a silver leg now, okay? And instead of denying it, this is what you're going to do. Maybe not, I don't want to, you know, single people out here, but this is what people do. They don't deny it. I've done polls on Facebook where I intentionally didn't put this in groups of mine. I didn't gear it towards Mandela Effect people. I put it on my wall, and I just let people vote on it. Two pictures of them. What do you remember, right? It was 96%, and there were like 60, 70 people that voted. There were like 2 people that said silver, and like 40-something people, 50-something people that all said all gold, okay? But they're all wrong. It's never been all gold in this reality. How is that possible that everybody could just mistake that? How is it possible? So then the people won't deny it. They'll go into defense mode, and what they'll do is they'll say, oh, well, you know, Star Wars was released on this. It was released with the Blu-ray. It was released when it was remastered. It was released with the DVD. It was released when they added the CGI. It's all true. There's all these different releases of it. But the thing is, you can go to any of them. He's got the silver leg, and you can take any of them off your shelf. How does movies coming off your shelf have anything to fucking do with a re-release, a reissue, or a digital download thing? Huh? How does it have anything to do with it? It's physically in your possession and changing, and I can prove it. Okay? You can say the Mandela Effect is fake if you want, and call me a magician. Okay? I changed your movie. I'll take the blame for it if you don't think the Mandela Effect can be real. Now go check your movie. Right in the first scene when they're attacking the ship that he's on before they send C-3PO and R2 off to go down to Tatooine, okay? When Darth Vader comes aboard the ship and they start blasting everybody, first scene, C-3PO, boom, silver leg staring you right in the face. Go check Return of the Jedi. Silver leg on the chariot in the Ewok village. It's the ugliest thing you've ever seen. And then it gets, you know, there's a lot more stuff besides movies and music and stuff like this. Your anatomy is changing under you. So how is that a psyop? Your bone structure, your organs are moving from where they have been. Everybody, let's play along. Who lives in America? I tend to think a high percentage of my audience. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and for the republic for which it stands, blah, 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 blah. I'll spit on that. But you hold your hand over here to hold it over your heart. But your heart isn't there anymore. Your heart's in the dead center now. Your kidney is now protected in the back. The whole thing about a kidney punch being illegal in boxing is irrelevant now because now it's protected. Your eye sockets now have bone in them where they didn't before. Yes, go get a fucking x-ray. Tell me I'm wrong. So you're going to tell me that's a psyop? By who? God? I mean, who else could do that? It's a psyop? The government can't do that. Fucking CERN can't do that. NASA can't do that. None of these, the Vatican, none of these people you want to, whoever, none of them, they can't do that to you. So something is happening here, okay? Maybe I can't nail it down and tell you exactly what that is, but I can prove it 7 ways to Sunday, truth, thirst for truth, huh? I can prove it 7 ways to Sunday that it's happening. We have so much evidence of this, you know, it's time to look into this. And I know there's a lot of people that still won't look into it. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're looking into any of these other topics I mentioned, you have to look into this because whether you want to look into it or not, it's happening to you. The stuff under your skin is changing, dude. Like, seriously, does it get any more serious than that? I don't know how you can deny it. The stuff under your skin. Everybody that looks into the Mandela effect realizes it's real. Okay. Now you can look from the outside and say, oh, these people can't agree if it's CERN, if it's God, if it's this. Okay. You can't agree on a map. And I'm part of that. I can't agree on a map either. I'm just saying we don't have to agree on all the different facets of something to see that it's happening. It's time for you guys to look into this. Now, you guys, I think most people would agree we're in the midst of a great awakening. At least I talk about it a lot. Some people look at this as a dark time and this and that shit. What's it going to hurt for you to look into the Mandela effect? If you can debunk me, then debunk me and come and present it to me before you just say, oh, I debunked it and I'm not going to look at it. Come and present it to me, the debunk that you think you have. Call in. We'll talk about it and I'll show you why it's not. No. And then the thing is, I could show somebody, okay, for instance, with the Mandela effect, we're not all affected by the same ones, but we are by a huge majority of them, okay? So me, Gloria, some of the people in the chat, we see, as long as they're things we recognize, like we might not recognize the same music or product, so we just don't know. But if they're things we both recognize, we agree on like 80, 90% of them. You know what I mean? A very high percentage, but not everything. Not everything, but we agree on a very high percentage of them. So if you could take a list, right, of like 50 Mandela effects that I present. I could sit here all day, and I have people that do this on my Facebook, right? So, and they're like, no matter what, they have to try and debunk the Mandela effect. So this is what I do, okay? I sit there, and I'll lay out different ones. Say I'll do C-3PO. And I'm going to briefly, as I name these, just say what they ask, you know. I'll do Ed McMahon, just so you know. You know Ed McMahon? Big checks, balloons. You're the fucking Publishers Clearinghouse winner. Go to door to door. Never happened. He's never been associated with Publishers Clearinghouse. Dude, I have a rock solid memory of that. He's from my hometown. It's one of the biggest ones to me. But I'll get back to it, okay? So I could put these out. C-3PO, Ed McMahon, I Love Lucy. You know, I could put a whole bunch of them out, and people they'll know. So they won't comment. Oh, they'll know that's crazy. That's messed up. So they won't comment. They won't comment. Then there'll be one that's like borderline or that doesn't affect them, or they remember it the other way. They'll comment on that one and say the Mandela effect's bullshit. But what about the fucking 49 of them that they ignored? That's what you guys are doing. It's the same goddamn thing. It's the same thing, okay? We aren't stupid. And you know what else? I want to talk to some of the Christians out there and other religious people that are into the Bibles and whatnot. So now the King James Version has the word planets in the Bible. And so then what people will do is when they'll say, it's not in there. It's not in there. Oh, you just got it offline. I'll make them go get the fucking Bible that they have in the house and look at it, and it's in there. Then they'll backtrack. After they just said it's never been in there, then they'll say, oh, well, it just means constellations, and it's, replacing constellation. I'm like, it doesn't matter what it means if it's a metaphor. The word wasn't in there. It wasn't in there, and you use that as the basis of your argument. It's going to be pretty bad if you say that to somebody and then they pull out a Bible and says, wait, planets isn't here. Go get your own Bible and check. Kings 23:5 in the King James Version. Some of these are gone over to other editions of the Bible, many of them. Most of them hit the King James first. Some of them stay there, and then some of them spread out, and we are seeing it get more spread now. And, you say this to these people, and they go into what we like to say is they take the update. They go into defense mode. Like, for instance, a very popular saying from the Bible that everybody knows, even me, who's not into religion at all. Okay, I've always seen through the facade of organized religion. I'm spiritual. I know there's a creator, but I am not. I'm all set with religion. Okay, but everybody knows the Lion and the Lamb from Isaiah 11:6. And if you approach a pastor or minister or priest, whatever you call them, if you approach one of them and ask them about Isaiah 11:6, you don't mention the lion and lamb. You phrase the question like, oh, what animal lied with the lamb, or recite Isaiah 11:6. And we've had people in the community call these people on the phone, and they swore before they even asked, oh yeah, I know that very well. I've said it for 30 years and taught it, blase, blase, blah. Well, go check your Bible, goes and checks the Bible, and then it says the wolf and the lamb. And then they go in defense mode, and they try and say, oh, well, God's word can't be changed. God's word can be changed. Now, there's a big split on this, and it's understandable. Is it God's word or is it man's word? It doesn't even matter where I stand. What people are saying is God's word, whatever it is to you, it's changing. You can deal with that how you want. You can think it's good. You can think it's bad. But it's changing. There is so much what we call residue, the leftover evidence I told you about for the lion and the lamb. Okay? There are songs that people sung. Elvis sings one where he talks about the lion and the lamb. There are monuments and statues in front of churches, in front of Capitol buildings. There's shit everywhere. People have that stuff tattooed on them. It's the lion and the lamb, lion and the lamb, lion and the lamb. There's so much of it. But it's never existed. It's supernaturally changing. And you can't debunk it. You can go pull out your Bible. It doesn't matter how old it is. It could be 400 years old. And it's changed. It's changed. People's names are changing. Speaking of religion, you guys probably, maybe you don't, but if you know some of these preachers, even the top few, top fucking scam artists, right? But on TV, Joel Osteen never existed. It's Joel Osteen now. He lost the L. People's names we know are changing. Christopher Reeves and Sally Fields, no, they both lost the S on their name. Mark Hamill got an extra L, and it ends in 2 L's now on Hamill. Same with Sybil and Sybil Shepherd. All their names are changing. Keenan Ivory Wayans, you remember him? Keenan Ivory? Keenan has no A in it anymore. It's 3 N's. And you can say, oh, well, people can change their name if they want, but you can go back and pull out editions of In Living Color and watch the fucking credits from 20, 30 years ago, whenever it was, and it's changed. And even if it's been in your house, it's changed. Back to the Wizard of Oz. So we were talking about the Wizard of Oz, and the Scarecrow has the gun, right? You go put your movie in right now, he's going to have the gun, okay? As crazy as that is, I'm going to be right. So I tell my friend, a few months goes by, the movie changed again. This is what we call incremental changes. So again, and this is going to get a little too deep for this conversation where I'm trying to explain what the Mandela Effect is. But again, the movie's been in his possession. We just examined this movie for changes because I was showing him the gun. And now the Tin Man. You know the Tin Man. Everybody knows the Tin Man, right? What's he carry? I know what you just said. You said a giant axe. Some of you might have said the axe and the oil can. People forget the oil can, but he had the oil can too. Giant axe, oil can, right? Now he's got a giant plumber's wrench about yay big. It's bigger than his axe, so it's probably like yay big, right? Bigger than his axe. One in each hand. Not the whole movie, but a good portion of it. One in each hand. Giant plumber's wrench. This is after we examined the movie. After we examined it. And this keeps happening with Star Wars as well. I did a whole show on Star Wars and all the changes, like C-3PO. R2-D2 now has these big brown wires on his legs that were never there. I have copies that are sold. You could have a copy from 1977 and put it in. He's going to have those brown things on his legs now. It's absolutely crazy. The ending of the movie has changed. Where I come from in Star Wars, at the end of the original movie, the three of them got medals, Chewie, Luke, and Han. Leia kissed, put the medal over the neck and kissed Han and Luke on the cheek. And then Chewie came up. He's so tall, he had to bend down like this. She puts the medal on his neck. He goes up, does the Chewie roar, right? That was terrible. Does the Chewie roar, and it goes to credits looking at outer space, looking at the stars in the sky, right? Not anymore. Now Chewie doesn't even get a medal. Doesn't even get a medal. And I remember it clearly. And in fact, when we're talking about Residue, now there's some comic books out there that are old that retell that scene from way back then, though. Chewie has a medal. Chewie has a medal. Okay? Here's one that you guys will know for sure. When I grew up, everybody's seen Snow White. Everybody's seen it. Everybody knows the saying, mirror, mirror on the wall. This has been, now when I say residue, this is what I mean by residue. So official versions of something will change. So they'll still say mirror, mirror on all the songs that have parodied it. Every show that does a spoof of it, like say The Simpsons or Mad TV, if they do a clip of something, they'll, like I was talking about I Love Lucy earlier, I forgot to mention. So I Love Lucy on Saturday Night Live and on Mad TV, they did it several times. And on every clip that they did of it, as soon as Ricky walked in the door, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. So we're all misremembering, right? Let's get this straight. We're all misremembering. All of us are misremembering. The movie studios, television studios, all those people that are running these parody shows, misremembering. Yet we're all remembering the same thing to a T, and it was never said. You got to be shitting me, dude. No, we're not crazy. But if you pop it in, it's gone. Your reality's changing. Sorry to drop it on you, but it is. It is. So in Snow White, what I'm getting at, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? She's never said that now. Now it's magic mirror. Magic mirror on the wall. Dude, and I was at my friend's house, same kid with the Wizard of Oz, right? I go in his cabinet, saw a Burger King cup, Snow White commemorative cup, says mirror, mirror on the wall, right on the fucking back of it. So we're just all crazy. Burger King and Disney, who licensed this cup, they're just crazy, and Disney don't know their own movie. And then the real kicker, here's the kicker. 2012, 2013, Disney makes Snow White into a motion picture, not an animated film, with real actors and actresses, and they titled the movie Mirror, Mirror. But we're crazy? We're crazy? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Sing with me. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. You guys all know it, right? Mr. Rogers? Now he's never said the neighborhood. It's this neighborhood. So this is a big one. And we've been telling people about this for a couple years since this one changed. Like, this is one of the biggest theme songs of my time, right? Growing up as a kid. There's not one person that remembers of this. In fact, I'm surrounded by people all the time singing it at work. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, right? So it's always been this. So I just did a show on this because a couple weeks ago, they announced the title of Tom Hanks, who's involved in many of these, his movie about Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Named after the song, it even says right in the CNN article. And then it has a clip for the song, Mr. Rogers himself doing it. What do you think it says? It says this, because all the footage has changed, even in the past, even if you own it. And we're crazy. And then Tom Hanks gets out there with this choir, and they do this whole fucking show, and they're singing the theme song, and they sing just like I remember it. But we're crazy. Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. He's never said that now. Now it's, if you build it, he will come. We aren't crazy. We are not crazy, okay? We are not. And then there's ways you can go besides just finding residue or just going on your memory. If you want to have some sort of paper trail and have a little fun and see if there's other ways, look at the Looney Tunes, for instance. And I know for Gloria, this was her first one. Looney Tunes, now the tunes, is not TONS like a cartoon. Now it's like a music tune, TUNES. Okay. But if you go and look at the Whois domain, which is where you register websites, they have a registry of websites, I should say, when they were activated and whatnot. So Warner Brothers took out the domain, www.looneytunes.com with 2 O's, and they didn't take out the TUNES one till 2 years after. But it's never been 2 O's. You don't take out the wrong spelling of your website 2 years before you take out the correct one. It works the other way around. You get offers for cheap versions of your website that are close to it. Like I get them all the time. The realnewsonline.net whatever instead of .com, and they offer it to you for a few bucks, and you just grab them because if people go there by accident, you can redirect them to your site. You don't do that first, but that's what we have here for the older crowd. James Bond. If you've ever seen Moonraker, and this is huge for many people. The only reason it's not huge for me is I've never seen the movie. But in the movie Dolly, at the end, the girl with the braces, she's never had braces now. You can put it in there, not there. The Silence of the Lambs, when he says, hello, Clarice, when she comes to see him in the cell, he says, good morning now. He literally just says, good morning. Good morning. It's crazy. And then it's not just movies and music and stuff. And and I told you it's anatomy. It's the Bible. It's everything. It's nature. It's animals. All new sorts of breeds of animals are popping up. Rainbow animals, rainbow landmarks, geysers, mountains, trees, swamps. Shit is everywhere. Vertical rainbows shooting up in the sky. Double rainbows. All types of stuff you've never had before. Okay? And then I want you to, in a second, I want you to look at a map. But don't look at it yet. Because this was the biggest one for me for pretty much the whole time. And I fluctuate between my number 1 and 2, and we'll get to my number 1 after. But, where I come from, now, you don't have to be a geography expert. None of us, most of us, unless you're a cartographer or you take boats around the world, you're probably not a geography expert. Most people aren't, or you're a pilot or something. You fly around the world, maybe, right? So there's some things that you just know, though. You don't have to know every of the hundreds of countries in the world to know where the continents are, right? Especially the one closest to you. So I'm from the United States. High percentage of my audience is from the United States. And even if you're not, it doesn't matter. You're going to know this. So you got North America, right? Canada, US, and then you got Mexico, right? Where is South America located? And this isn't a trick question. Where is South America located? Well, there'd be 2 obvious answers. Either in the southern hemisphere, more specifically, though, below North America, hence North and South America, right? And if you remember back as a kid, or even through your whole life, you used to learn about they were once connected, and the boats would have to go all the way around both continents, all the way tip of South America, back up. So they dug out the Panama Canal, correct? Does anybody remember the Panama Canal? Panama Canal was to let the boats pass through and not have to go all the way around, right? And here's the continents. Tip of Mexico, South America, Panama Canal, east and west. The Panama Canal in your reality right now, where you live, doesn't matter if you don't believe in the Mandela Effect. Doesn't matter. It's affecting you. I want you to pull out a map right now. And yes, we understand people and other people in the other communities that maps are fake. Maps can be manipulated. They can be reprinted. They are built for political reasons, and the sizes of the countries are skewed and all of that shit. I get it. But the changes I'm telling you now that don't match your memory, when you go back, if you can dig up books that are 30 years old, 100 years old, atlases, whatever you got, all those changes that you see now are going to be in those books. And the Panama Canal doesn't run east to west now. It runs north to south. Like this, a slight angle northeast, north-south Panama Canal. You know why? because South America has moved about 1,000 miles east from where I remember it, and it's not even underneath Mexico anymore. It's so far to the right that the tip of Mexico can't hit the top of it now. It has to hit the left side of it, which forces the canal this way instead of this way. But there is no land shift either, because I've heard people say that. No, go back again. You're not thinking. I just told you, if you go back however many years you want and look at the maps, they're still going to reflect what I'm showing you now. So it's not a land change, and it's not just a reissue of a map doing a psyop on you. And you could pull a book off your shelf, because a lot of you still have books and encyclopedias and atlases. Pull them out. Look at the changes. Look at Australia. Look at the border, and look at Canada. Look at Canada, people. The top right third of it is gone. It's like decimated by ocean. And then one more big geography one before I move on is Cuba. Look at Cuba. Cuba is huge now. It's moved way over to the west a little bit. I say way over and then a little bit, but it's moved over, okay? And it's the size of Florida now. Where I come from, it was a tiny island. And this is going on as you live your life. Just like the changes in your body are going on, bones in your feet, your floating ribs are gone, your rib cage is changing. New organs in your body are being found. That's fucking crazy. Here's probably the biggest music one for me, because you guys all know this song. Everybody that has a sports team that's ever been successful and won a title has seen this song played at parades and everything. You guys have heard this in every bar you've been in. If you're my age or older, you've heard it on the radio all the time. It's probably still on the radio all the time, especially people that grew up in the 70s and 80s, right? We Are the Champions by Queen. Because we are the champions. We are the champions, right? Well, the end of the song always says, because we are the champions of the world. I want you to go look up the song now. In the regular version, because we're going to show you the residue, and I'm going to show you what people do to backtrack. If you go look up the residue for this, they're going to find 2 shows at Wembley where they actually say it exactly the way we remember. So again, are they all misremembering? And they're remembering the same as us, and it's just exactly the same. And they wrote the song and been performing it for fucking 100 years. Those guys, right? They've been around forever, right? No. So you go and put the, I grew up on the album version or the radio version, right? You all did. So when I showed somebody this as Residue, you know what he says to me? He says, oh, well, that's why you remember Of the World at the end, because of the Wembley show. I said, brother, this was fucking 1985. I was 8 years old and I didn't have internet. How was I memorizing the Wembley version? I never even seen the Wembley version until I started looking for Residue for this. That's what people will say. Yeah, I remember I grew up on the 1985 Wembley version when I lived in Boston as an 8-year-old with no internet. Yeah, that's what happened, because that makes sense, right? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. And then it's historical events. You can look at all the documentaries and you'll hear a common theme amongst all of them. 9/11 was the second foreign terrorist attack on U.S. soil, Pearl Harbor being the first. You hear it over and over and over and over and over again until you fucking want to bleed out of your ears from hearing it. Well, now in this reality, not only is that not true because another event precedes that, let me tell you about the event. Before I do, I'm going to ask you a question. How many of you guys have ever heard of Black Tom? And I'm asking the people that haven't been researching Mandela already. How many of you people have ever heard of Black Tom? I'm going to say nobody. Just like nobody remembers C-3PO with a silver leg and everybody remembers Ed McMahon working for Publishers Clearinghouse, nobody knows who You're probably like, who the hell is Black Tom? Right? Black Tom is the name of a German attack in 1916 that supposedly they snuck through New Jersey. They blew off bombs so big, it damaged the Statue of Liberty so bad with the shrapnel that flew off or whatever. It hit the torch, damaged it so bad that nobody's ever been to the torch. People died. It measured 5.5 on the Richter scale and was felt in Philadelphia, and you've never heard of it. Think about that before we even talk about the torch. You've never heard of it. They tell you these other 2 events are number 1 and 2. Well, this is obviously number 1. You've never heard of it. On 9/11, it's never brought back up. This attack that was in New York and damaged the Statue of Liberty isn't brought up with all the shit and propaganda they're trying to push at 9/11. Not once was it brought up. You know it wasn't. I know it wasn't. It's not like we missed it. It wasn't ever brought up 100% of a fact. I know that. You know it. You can say, Brian, you can't say that's a fact. Well, then you tell me you know for a fact that it was brought up. No, you don't. None of you remember it. It wasn't brought up. And then the even crazier part, the torch, they say, has been closed and never opened. It's been closed since 1916 because of that. We've talked to people that have been to the torch. Okay? Let's talk about the English language. Words are changing. It's a real dilemma around here. The word dilemma itself is a huge Mandela effect for me. I want you to spell dilemma. Did you say D-I-L-E-M-N-A? Because that's what me and most people always knew it as. Now it's never been that. Now it's a double M. And you're going to say, well, you know, maybe you guys aren't good spellers. You know what I say to that? You're really just totally missing the point here. So we're not only bad spellers, allegedly to you, right? We're not only all misspelling the same word. We're not all spelling it the same way. We're not just doing that, right? We're all inserting a silent fucking N where it doesn't belong in a word, and we're all doing it in unison, but it's never been that, and we're crazy? And you don't think there's nothing to look at? Type it in your thing right now where there's a spell checker. Type dilemma with an N and see what happens. You're going to get spell checked. It's going to underline it with the red or whatever your device does. Spell checked. It's crazy. Words keep changing. People's names keep changing. Your body is changing. The places you live are changing. Even everything. It's not even just one thing. It's everything. Remember daylight savings time? It's never existed. Halley's Comet never existed. Now it's always been daylight saving time, not daylight savings. And now Halley's Comet is Halley's Comet. Halley's Comet? Dude. And as manipulated as daylight savings time and the comet might be in your mind, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. The names are still changed. Like it doesn't matter if you believe in a map of the globe of Mercator or Gall's Peters, or you believe in an AE map. It doesn't matter what you believe in as far as this goes. It's changing. You know what I'm saying? It's changing, and you can't debunk this. And you think you're part of some awakening, and you're gonna ignore the spiritual awakening that is the Mandela effect. Things are supernaturally changing around you. How much more of a sign do you want that reality is totally fraudulent, what they told you? You need to look into. How can you ignore something like this? How can you ignore it after the way I just laid it out? Anybody wants to call, we'll take the call. But right now, real quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start telling my personal story about how I came into the Mandela effect. That way, some of these new people, maybe that'll resonate with them a little bit. I'm just going to tell it either way. So, what happened for me, guys, for me, it was the Berenstain Bears, and JFK. They were both around the same time. I think the Bears was actually first. I think that changed first, and then the JFK. Or at least that's how I perceived it. But those were the two big ones for me. See, when I was a little kid, I grew up with the Berenstain Bears books, and my parents always got them for me. Like we had a little book club from school. You order the books and they'd come in. You guys know, I don't remember what it was called, They would ship the books in and you'd get a few books. I'd always get the Berenstain. Now it's Berenstain. And what people will do with this one too, they'll make the argument, well, their family name was Stain. They were trying to I don't know. Hold on, I got another call. I got a call. So hang on one second, guys. Dose of reality. You're on, Brian.
Hey, Brian, it's Nick again.
Hey, what's up, Nick?
Oh, not much. I'll try and keep it short. That way some other people can hopefully call in. But that Wizard of Oz shit's got me tripping the fuck out, dude. Like, not only the gun, but also the Tin Man holding an axe and the freaking pipe wrench. And we just looked that shit up. It's, like, outrageous.
Isn't it crazy? And it's huge. It's not like a little thing. It's bigger than his axe, and his axe is huge.
Yeah, like, I've never freaking seen a pipe wrench that big.
It's at least, it's gigantic. It's at least the same size as the axe. I think it's bigger. It looks a little bigger than the axe to me. It's huge.
Yeah, it's
huge.
Definitely bigger.
And
But
those aren't the only ones, you know. You know that movie's changed in a whole bunch of other ways, right?
um, I know she never said "fly my pretties" or something like that.
Yeah, fly
But
my
other than that,
pretties
I don't know
fly.
if any.
Yeah, fly my pretties fly. She never says. And then you know at the end, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Oh yeah.
Now it says pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Oh, it's one of those where it throws another adjective or adverb in between there.
Yeah,
That's
and those are
trippy.
just as big, whether it's an adjective or an adverb or somebody's name or a logo or a product changing. It's all the same to me because it's all a
Yeah,
reality. It's all a reality shift that can't happen within the rules of reality that we're given. And the Mandela effect, just like the flat Earth, it makes you totally realize how artificial this construct is that we live in. Like, you know, I came through the 9/11 routes and media fakery and everything. So I was very easy to see Apollo once I started looking at it for what it was. I kind of had my shield already down. It's crazy though, because you realize the Mandela effect. It's like everything's out the window of what you thought, you know, because now there's something supernatural happening.
yeah, it's definitely ridiculous, and the more you pay attention to it, which now I've got to go through and pretty much watch everything and look at everything that I remember from my childhood, and you're going to end up rewatching these things over and over again because they're
Oh
going to
yeah.
keep changing.
Yeah, I'm watching them
It's
change in front of me. I keep watching them. Star Wars, just like Wizard of Oz, Star Wars keeps changing. Star Wars is the most affected. Wizard of Oz is up there. Star Wars has like 20, 25 changes, maybe more. It keeps changing. And this is where it gets crazy. And for the new people, I want you to hear this part out because our own photographs change. And by that, I mean, for instance, C3PO, like I talked about earlier, he now has the silver leg, right? So I was telling a buddy of mine on Facebook, he didn't even have the movie handy. He wanted to see if it's really changed on my movie. I said, I'll show you a screen grab of my movie. So I put my movie in, and rather than just take a screen grab, I went in front of the computer like this and took a selfie with my phone. So I'm in the shot, my computer monitor, and the movie's on my screen, and you can see him with the silver leg, right? And then
yeah. I did that actually back with the beginning of when the Bernstein Bears was a big one, and I actually found there was a VHS that said the Bernstein Bears on it.
Yeah, it's the
and
one
I
with the
took a
yellow
picture of it
label.
with my phone, and then it switched.
Yeah.
It was like,
so the
oh, we missed
C3PO.
one. So
Well,
I've
the
actually
C3
experienced that. Go ahead, sorry.
No. I'm glad you told me that. That's fucking awesome, bro. It's the C3PO one. So I've been, I'm the hugest Star Wars fanatic, right? I've seen it like 200 times. It's my biggest thing ever. And, I know he's always been all gold. But besides that, I'm taking this picture to show my friend, right? And I do. I show him the friend. He's got the he's got the silver leg, just like I said he would. Like he's not supposed to, but he's got the silver leg. I show my friend. A few months later in the movie, another change happens to C3PO. R2D2 gets the brown wires, and a few days later, at least to me, I know some people saw it earlier, but he got these black gloves on his hands now. It looks like he has black weightlifting gloves on his fucking hands, right? And in the picture I took with the silver leg, with him with his hand on top of R2D2, he didn't have silver gloves, and now my picture has changed and reflects the new change, and now he has the black gloves. Now he has the black gloves in my photograph with me in the fucking photograph. It's changed.
Yeah, I remember when that actually happened, and I think I saw that on your Facebook too. It was definitely tripping me out. And I was telling all my friends, and I actually have company over right now, which is great because I showed him the picture of the flat Earth for one, and he's not being dissonant, and he was a rescue firefighter at 9/11, but I know we won't need to get into that today. But
yeah, we'll save that for another day, just because trying to keep this one on.
Yeah, but
new people.
Just mentioning these Mandela effects, he actually remembers Germany being landlocked.
Well, that's what we talked about on the last show. Did you listen?
Yeah, I was there. That's why I mentioned it to him, and
you mentioned it to him. Yeah.
So it was definitely interesting to find somebody else that shares a lot of the same perspective about it. So I think pretty much planted the seed in his mind. So he's going to be researching all this stuff here, and probably coming back with more questions. So
Yeah.
It's great
Well,
that, you know, we're doing this work.
Well, you know what? It's like with the flat earth, right? So you know how there's people that are, you know, there's some people that look at all different things, but there's some people that are like experts at, say, observing the sun and the moon's path. There are people that are experts at doing experiments. There are people that are experts at this and that, right? You know what I'm saying? Everybody has it. There's some people that are on the biblical side.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's different people. Well, for Mandela Effect, there's all different topics. So depending on what your lifestyle is like, if you're into this or that, you know, there's movies, there's music, there's geography, there's anatomy, because it's really encompassing everything around the world. Like everything's changing. Everything in nature is changing, bro. Look at all the breeds of animals that are coming up. We cover a few every show, it seems, and we're doing shows every couple days. Like we can't even keep up. And I'm doing as many Mandela shows as just about anybody. Like I'm doing them every couple days.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's going to start accelerating too.
It is accelerating.
That friend that I was mentioning that's over here right now, he actually remembers the heart being on the left side as well, which is one of the ones that I noticed the people I've asked that are Mandela affected, a lot of them actually remember it being centered for their whole time. So that's a good sign for him at least.
Yeah, definitely. There's just so many, bro, and it's like it's everywhere. And like for instance, there's this whole, I don't know what it is, but there's this whole rainbow effect that's happening where all these things are coming in rainbow colored. As you know, you've seen a few shows. But me and Gloria have done like 5 shows now that have been about the rainbow theme, and they've all been within like 4 weeks. And the reason we've done like 5 shows is because we research all the rainbow stuff, and there's all stuff that isn't there, and then a week later it comes into existence. Like we're not bad researchers, you know what I mean? This stuff isn't there, and stuff just keeps popping up, bro. That's always been there, but it's always been there, you know?
Yeah, like what was it 2 days ago with the vertical rainbows that are going straight up into the sky. I had never seen anything like that before. I was appalled when I saw that. It was tripping me out.
And on top of it, remember when I was saying earlier in the show how it's very beneficial to research more than one topic because they're going to help you with each other? So you know, because you know, okay, so people in the Mandela Effect community, for instance, might see the vertical rainbow, right? Most of them are going to know they've never seen it, but some people might have a doubt or they're not sure. We both know for a fact we've never seen it. All right. Thank you, Nick. I don't know. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. All right, buddy?
All right, man. You take care, and I'll be in the chat. I already got my thumb up, so I'll be listening in and hope to hear more awesomeness from you.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, that was Nick calling in again. He called in last show. Nick's a really cool guy. Nick, if Nick wants his name out there, he'll put it in the chat. I don't know if he does, but he's on Facebook as well. If anybody else wants to call in, the line's still open. So for me, it was Berenstain Bears was my first one, and that was really big to me because we used to always get the books. You know, we used to always get the books from like the book club at school. And now it's always been Berenstain, and even on the books that you own. But then the next big one is the one that really knocked me off my rocker. And it's not my number 1 right now. It's about my number 5, number 6. And that's JFK, you know. And I don't think it matters how old you are, unless you learned of it in the last 2 years, but you'd probably be a really little kid and you're not watching the show if you just learned about JFK in the last 2 or 3 years, right? 4 years, whatever. JFK, for me, okay, he was in his car. He got shot, right? There was 4 people in the car, 2 rows of seats. Behind him was the governor and his wife, and somehow the bullet, you know, allegedly, everything's allegedly, somehow the bullet hit him and the governor. They called it the magic bullet. Now, in this reality, and this is one that just threw me for a fucking loop, because once I saw this, I knew the Mandela Effect was real. I knew right out the gate, and you guys should too if you're new to this, okay? Go look at the assassination of JFK and tell me what you see. You're going to go look at the assassination of JFK, and you're going to see a 6-seater car with 2 windshields. Now, picture this. Imagine the president gets assassinated in a car that is so odd. It's a car like you've never seen because it has 2 windshields and 3 rows of seats, okay? That's very odd. The president gets assassinated in it, but you don't recall that. And you remember a 4-seater. But I'm going to tell you who else remembers a 4-seater. Besides millions of people, right? How about the Secret Service? The Secret Service themselves did a reenactment through the streets of Dallas a few years later, studying for ballistics and whatnot, right? So it's got to be accurate, the distances and everything, sizes of things. They rolled through in a 4-seater. They recreated the assassination in a 4-seater. Why would they do that if it's always been a 6? So I say that to people. You know what they say to me? These are the people that are supposedly in check with reality, and we're the fucking ones that are out there, right? We're the ones that aren't doing the critical thinking. We're the ones that don't see if it's been a logo or a brand change. They say to me, well, I forget what company it is. I think it's Lincoln. They say, well, Lincoln they wouldn't make the government another 6-seater. Really? Oh, they just told the government, go fuck yourself? We're not making you another 6-seater? First of all, they wouldn't be able to do that. Second of all, why wouldn't they do it? It'd be the best free advertisement for Lincoln ever. They're going to parade the car back through the streets of fucking Dallas. They're going to make them another replica. You could make them a replica in however long it takes to press a car out. I don't know. And they didn't do this thing for like 3 years after the assassination. It's like they did it the next week. They did it like 3 years later. They recreated it. And people said, oh, they couldn't get the car. And then if you go to the museums for the JFK, there's one in Boston. A presidential, it might not know if it's a JFK museum, but it's a presidential museum at least. And there's a presidential one in Virginia. And there's replicas of his car sitting in there, the black limo that he was killed in. They're both 4-seaters, both of them. And then back to the shows that do the parodies. The Simpsons is one of the biggest ones. So when The Simpsons does JFK, which they do, what do you think comes rolling down the street? A 4-seater. Just like we always remember, but it's never been 4. So why is The Simpsons doing it in a 4-seater? Homer Simpson sings, "We are the champions." How does he sing it? Of the world. He must have been at Wembley Stadium with me. As a matter of fact, he picked me up when I was 8 years old. We got on a fucking canoe. We canoed over to Wembley Stadium right across the pond. And then we went and we memorized Queen. We never listened to it on the radio all the millions of times. We blocked it out. We just kept that one memory in our head from Wembley Stadium. And that's why we say of the world. That's what people think. We're all going through it. And this is why we come and we talk about these things. Because if we didn't talk about these things, we'd probably be going crazy. That's why I have this channel. That's why most people probably have a channel. Every day there's several, if not dozens. Every day things are changing that rapidly. So if you just let this pass you by and you don't come experience this with us, dude, you're going to open your eyes one day and the whole world around you is going to be changed. The whole thing. You're not even going to recognize where you live.
What?
That was
I'm one of the winners of the Publishers Clearinghouse. Ed McMahon wants to see me.
I have to apologize. I thought this was the Joe Franklin studio. I'll tell you why I'm here. I happen to be in town over doing some stuff for the NBC affiliate.
That's right.
And, Ed McMahon, our good friend, could not be here. Yeah. But it seems, David, that you are the $1 million winner.
Oh, my God. I've won $1 million.